Well, hello, everyone. Thanks so much
Hello.
for joining us. I think we'll have a few more people kind of straggling in because we have a pretty nice attendance for today. But I guess we'll just start. So again, my name is Jacqueline. This is my husband and business partner, Femi. And we want to join and welcome you, to our Holistic Living, Unlocking Success in Real Estate, Wellness, and Spaces. So we have a really, really nice lineup of guest speakers that will be joining us today. We have Jordana, who is the CEO. There we go. The CEO of the Mindful Clinic, and she is an eating behavior expert. So she'll be chatting with us today. We have Eric.
There we go.
There you go. There's Eric, who is our private wealth specialist with CIBC. And we have Stephanie, who is our home organization specialist. And we have us. We are real estate agents with the Appleyezzi Real Estate Group, and we will start with Jordana.
So let me come back here. Excuse me. Stop share. Okay, Jordana, I will give you the screen.
Thank you.
Give me one moment here. Hold on. More
technology is great when it works. There we go.
There we go.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. I'm just going to share my screen with you guys. I have a very short and sweet little presentation because we're going to be talking about health and eating behavior. Just give me a second. I just need to move you out of the way. Perfect. Okay. So welcome, everyone. It is so nice to meet all of you. Like I was introduced, my name is Jordana. I am a clinical nutritionist and eating behavior expert. So I've been in this field for a very long time. I have my own origin story, but at the end of the day, I just kind of recognize that along with my career, like we actually all know what's healthy and what's not. But most of us just choose the unhealthy option anyways. And so I became pretty obsessed with understanding the motivation behind why people eat instead of really focusing on what we should eat. Because we all know an apple is healthier than a chocolate bar, right? But we choose a chocolate bar anyways. So today we're going to be talking a little bit more about that kind of concept and how we can really hone into your health and wellness goals and make sure that you're able to meet your own goals, not just because you think you should follow keto or paleo or whatever. Okay. So if you can, in the chat, I would just like to hear what are some of your health and wellness goals right now?
So,
Awesome. Better sleep. Oh, such a good one. Walk more, exercise. Yes. So important. Food freedom. Yay, Mary Jo. Trim a little of my waist. Yes.
Yeah, that's me. She didn't say that.
I did not.
Yeah. Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
Amazing. And then perform better. Cycling and running. Totally. Want to be a triathlete. Amazing. Right. And so we know what we want. Right. And then, so when we think about what we want, what are the actual barriers that get in our way? And I'm going to name a few of them just for time's sake, but not enough time, right? Too busy of a schedule. Maybe it's too difficult. Maybe the goal is I want to start waking up at 6 a.m., but we have 3 kids and kids to school, right? So, sorry, I'm just gonna. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So we all know what we want and we all know that there are obstacles. So if we have a goal, but we keep behaving in ways that are inconsistent with that goal, we keep pressing the snooze button, right? Wait, so 1 sec, I'm just going to mute. We keep pressing the snooze button. We keep overeating. We keep not pushing ourselves to our PR. We keep watching TV late instead of prioritizing sleep. What's going on here? Why does this keep happening? So this is what we're going to talk about today. So the reality is yes, I'm an eating behavior expert, but this can really generalize to all areas of your life. But changing the way you eat, changing the way you do anything begins with psychology because the body is going to follow the mind. The body on its own is nothing. It's a shell. And it's really the mind and the nervous system that tells the body what to do and where to go. And if we look at just diets or eating behavior in general, all diets have a 98% fail rate. That is a ridiculous statistic. It's oh my gosh, there is a 98% chance that you were going to regain the weight and you're not going to be able to keep it off. So like the number one solution for this epidemic where their obesity rates are almost 50% in North America, it's crazy. The number one solution has a 98% fail rate. Like this is not a solution. And so it's because most people know what's healthy and what's not, but we choose an unhealthy option anyway. So then we kind of come back to the brain here, right? So if you think you can or think you can't, either way, you're right. This is a quote from Henry Ford. It's one of my favorite ones. I loved it growing up. And I mean, I think we can all understand it, but it really comes down to like what your thoughts are and what you think you're capable of. The body is always going to follow the mind. Okay, so what is mindset? You guys can put it in the chat if you have any idea what mindset really is. Your thoughts about a particular thing. Beautiful. Yeah. It's really simple. This isn't a like trick question or anything. I'm just curious what your opinions are. Yeah. Your frame of mind, viewpoint, beautiful. Mary Jo acceptance. Oh, you can tell Mary Jo's been with me for a little while. Okay. So mindset is like, if we look at the actual definition, Stanford University, it's how you see your life, like through your own specific lens. And this lens that you see your life through actually impacts and like can determine your life outcomes, which is pretty crazy. And when we think about why mindset is important, it really comes down to this like self-confidence piece. So I'm going to ask you one more question, but like, what is self-confidence to you? And like, why do we think it's important? How good we feel about ourselves. Totally. Yeah. Being your true self. Beautiful. Yeah. Ease of living within our bodies and minds. Beautiful. Great responses. And it's important because it can dictate how well we perform. Absolutely. Right. And most of the time when we think about self-confidence, we often think about like, how confident are we in relation to everyone else that's going on? It's like, I'm in this situation. There's all these other people. How confident do I appear? How well can I perform this task? But in reality, self-confidence is really just your reputation with yourself. And so if we stop thinking about self-confidence in how well you can perform, and we start thinking about it in a way of like, it's actually your reputation with yourself, then you can actually kind of get back in the driver's seat and build your own self-confidence. And the easiest way to do this is making and keeping daily promises to yourself. So right back in the beginning, when I'm like, what do you guys want to do? And you're like, I want to get better sleep, but you keep watching Netflix and falling asleep on the couch. It's like, here, what you've done is you've made a goal. You've made like a nonverbal contract with yourself. I want to do this. And you've behaved in a way that's inconsistent with that goal. So what that teaches your mind is I'm unreliable. And if your mind believes I'm unreliable, then you're not going to be able to perform in any situation. You're not going to be able to trust yourself. You're going to like have a negative self-talk, right? And so I call this in my practice the conflict contract, where it's like you keep making these promises and not keeping them. And so to build up your self-confidence, to build up your reputation with yourself, it's very simple. You just make and keep the promises you're going to make to yourself. And if you cannot keep that promise, do not make it, you know? And this is where we start to get into like, how big are your goals, and can we create little micro goals in the meantime? So if you want to wake up at 6 a.m., but you currently wake up at 8, like, can we do it like 7:30 or like 7:45 for a little while? And then we build momentum, and then we go like, you know, we keep moving back, right? Okay. Yeah. This is the conflict contract. And what the conflict contract really tells us is the I ams are like, I'm unreliable. I have no willpower. I'm a failure. And if that's where we're going into it, then we have to like really briefly understand neuroscience. So I'm going to really speed through this, but neuroscience and why we care is it's literally our brain and our nervous system dictates our entire reality. So what happens is like we get a sensation, and that comes from inside of us or outside of us. We send a message up to the brain. The brain develops a perception. What does this feel like? The cool thing about perception is it's completely subjective. So like two people can be getting a tattoo and one person can be like, this hurts. And the other person can be like, I kind of like it, right? Like that perception is very subjective. From that subjective perception, you're going to create a thought. That thought is going to create a feeling. That feeling is going to create a behavior. And so the cool thing about this is neurochemically, with every thought at the thought level, what's happening is we have a thought. It releases chemicals into the bloodstream. They bind to our cells and they tell the cells how to behave. This means that your actions are actually starting at the thought level. Like you can change your entire environment from thought alone, which is really, really crazy. And this is actually something that is completely like unique to humans. I mean, we don't know if animals can do it, but like animals are very survival based, right? Humans, like we can have a thought and we can drop the same chemicals as if we're running away from a predator just by being like, I'm going to be late for work, right? It's the exact same chemicals. The brain doesn't know the difference between financial stress, emotional stress, or like I'm running away from danger stress. It's just cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine. So we have a thought. The thought is like, oh, I'm anxious for this test. The feeling is I feel anxious. The behavior is we underperform because of the thought. So your daily behaviors match your deepest beliefs about yourself, not your goals and your dreams. You can have a goal. I want to be rich. I want to be thin. I want to wake up at 6 a.m., whatever it is. But if your behaviors are on a completely different program, that's because at the thought level, you think I'm a failure. I'm unreliable. I'm too tired. I can't stick to anything, right? There's a bit of research here. Just for time purposes, I'm just going to go right through. I'm just going to talk about one study because it's very cool. This is Leah Crum at Stanford. It's called the milkshake theory. So what she did was she took two milkshakes. They're completely identical. And she gave one milkshake to one group and she said, this milkshake is highly caloric. And then with the other milkshake, they gave it to another group and they said, this milkshake is low caloric. And then they watched the biometrics after these two groups ate their milkshakes. And in the group that had the milkshake that was highly caloric, all of their biometrics spiked, leptin up, insulin up, like so all as if they were eating something that was highly caloric. And in the group where she told them this is a low caloric milkshake, insulin gradually rose, leptin gradually rose, as if they were eating something that was very healthy. And so if your jaw isn't on the floor yet, like it should be, because what this tells us is that our thoughts about what we're eating and what we're doing are actually more important than the substance itself. Crazy. Right? Like if you're eating a donut and you're like, this is going straight to my butt, like it is, like you're literally telling your body what to do with it. And so this is why thoughts are so important, right? And I think that like we get really confused because there's so much information out there, right? And so none of that actually matters because you have an inner compass and you know what is good and what's not. You know the apple's healthier than the chocolate bar. Yeah? Okay. Mindset and metabolism, very, very similar. It's again, one of her studies, but she basically just told a bunch of hotel workers, like when you're doing the bed sheets, when you're going up and down the stairs, you're losing X amount of calories versus another group of hotel workers where she didn't say anything to them. In the group where she told them exactly what's happening, like how many calories they're losing, whatever, that entire group, all of them lost weight. Most of them actually reduced their blood pressure, reduced cholesterol. Like it was just an insane, like, and they're doing the exact same task. The only difference is they're thinking about it differently. So like, this is really, really important. This is really, really valuable because we all have this ability, right? So for like, I mean, what I'm going to leave you with is if you want something that's health related or really just anything, in order to get that thing, we need to change the brain. We need to stop focusing on like the body and calories and apples over chocolate bars. We need to actually focus on what our thoughts are. So there's a few ways that we can change the brain. The one is building up our self-confidence, right? Making and keeping the promises that we make to ourselves. Second is affirmations. Okay. Like you can stand in the mirror and be like, I love myself. I'm proud of myself, whatever that looks like for you. The third is hypnotherapy. And if you're on this call or listening to the recording, you will get a recording for health and weight loss hypnosis that I've put together. And the fourth is just repetition. Like the brain is just a big muscle of programs that you have done and said over and over again. And so the more that we repeat something, the more it's going to encode itself into the nervous system. I'm just going to teach you guys a very simple exercise. Just submit this person. Great. I'm just going to teach. This is something that everyone can do before they go to bed. It's called self-hypnosis. And it's basically how it works is when you're falling asleep, you just want to say in your head every day, in every way, I get better and better. Every day in every way, I get better and better. And you're going to say that 10 times. And you actually want to count on your fingers to make sure you don't fall asleep. The reason why this is so powerful is because if we are overweight and we're looking in the mirror and you're like, I'm skinny, that's not going to resonate, right? Like you can say that a million times, but you're going to look in the mirror and see I'm not thin, right? And that's going to actually make you feel worse. But however, if we switch it to every day in every way, I get better and better, that's very easy to get your head around, right? It's not like I'm over here and I need to be here. I don't have a job and I'm all of a sudden a millionaire. It's like every day in every way, I get better and better. And so we can reprogram the brain in a way that's very slow and steady, like micro goals, so that over the course of a long period of time, you are going to build the self-confidence to be able to be the millionaire, lose the weight, do the triathlon, whatever you want to do. Yeah. Okay. I have some time for questions, I think. Okay. May have gone a little bit over, so I'm sorry, but if you have any questions, you can let me know.
That's great. Any questions? Anyone? Questions? Comments?
Just blown away.
Yeah, blown away.
I know.
So it's a joke that Femi can eat donuts and never gets a stomach ache. But when I have 2 bites of a donut, I get a stomach ache. But I think it's from my thoughts, and his is he doesn't believe that you'll ever have a stomach ache or that it's bad.
My
right?
blood pressure might be a little bit higher than it should be, but yeah, it's not. I love them, and I'm just like, these are great for me. I'm going to continue eating them. I don't get stomach aches.
Yeah, it's wild. Right. Okay.
It's another Zoom.
Yeah.
You're just exercising that muscle, right?
That's it.
That was very interesting. That was very
questions, anyone?
Oh, thank you.
I was just gonna ask a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious about the balance of that mindset, which is like, I grew up in like a diet culture my whole life. So I feel like I know all the things and I do recognize the difference between saying this is bad food, but like people that just consume food, and if there is balance, is there really, is there really bad food then if there is balance,
No, I'm like, but it's taken me literally like an entire decade of being a nutritionist to get to a point where I'm like, it actually is so much better. I just posted about this, but it's so much more powerful to teach your brain to like have things in moderation rather than like avoiding it altogether. Nothing should ever be restricted, because if you really, really love yourself, like if you really focus on building your self-confidence, building up your self-love, you're not going to self-sabotage. No one ever sabotages something they truly love. Right. And so then it becomes like, of course I can have a few bites of a donut, but do I need a whole box of them? No, like that's self-sabotage. But okay, Femi's like, I do. And you also know like your inner compass, like the goals that you want and whatever. Like if a goal of mine is to gain 20 pounds of muscle or whatever, like I might be eating a little bit more. But if my goal is to lean out, then like that's when we get to explore like balance of a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I like was obese as a child, lost and regained the same 150 pounds over and over again until I really put this into practice, until I started to understand the brain and stopped focusing on low calorie, keto, like any of that. And then it started to click, and it's like, there's actually space for everything.
Thanks.
Very cool.
That was great.
Cool. Yeah, good question, Steph.
Any other questions for our new mindset leader, Jordana? Best on the planet. No other questions?
Yeah, seriously.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll go to
move along
to Eric right now.
To Eric.
Yeah.
Eric, you've got to top that.
Yeah.
Oh, God, on the stage here, Dana, that was
fantastic.
Just incredibly insightful. I can tell that we didn't even scratch the surface. Yeah. So, and you're so right. Like the mind is just such a powerful machine, and it's something actually that myself and my team that we reference almost daily in what we do, right? So just what a good segue. I wonder who put this all together.
I know.
Awesome, Femi. So if you wanted to scroll down just to the kind of like the second last page there with all the pictures, kind of keep rolling.
Right here.
Now we're there.
Yeah, perfect. All the bios. Yeah, awesome. And first off, again, thank you very much to you both for setting this up. It's always awesome to be part of a great group in anything educational. As Jacqueline mentioned, everyone, my name, in such a lovely way, my name is Eric Ducharme, and I work for CIBC Wood Gundy as a wealth advisor, which all that really means, all what Wood Gundy really means is that it's the wealth management arm of the bank. And, I'm currently part, as you can see here, part of an awesome team of 4. There with my business partner, Dave, in the top left-hand side, who's also been in the industry for about 28 years. As an award-winning advisor. And to be honest, I am just very fortunate. I can imagine Giordana would say the same thing, that you're just very fortunate to be living out your professional dream, because it's truly, for me, the best of both worlds. One, I get to tap into my passion for the markets and holistic wealth management, but 2, I get to, I have the opportunity to truly help people, each and every single day, help them reach their goals in just a slightly different way than what Giordana does, for example, or Jacqueline and Femi. And that's what I wanted to talk about a little bit here over the next few minutes. And so, Jacqueline, I wanted to say too that I love the theme of today, right? All about living life in this holistic, meaningful manner where, both your professional and personal lives are in sync with one another, right? Which just simply correlates and allows you to live a more fulfilled, higher quality, thriving life. And when I was thinking about what I wanted to say today, I kept thinking that, God, even though you, Femi, Giordana, Steph, even though we all operate in different areas of life, the daily process in which we all use to serve and provide value to our clients is the exact same. As a wealth advisor, sure, I focus on financial planning, which is meant to chart a course to help you reach, achieve your goals. But the best part about that is that it's no different than, again, Jacqueline's, Giordana's, or Stephanie's. We're all here to try to put a plan in place for you so that you can have peace of mind that everything's going to be okay, which will allow you to live your best life, and exactly as Giordana said, one that's lived with confidence. And so, Femi, good sir, if you can scroll back up to, I think, just 2 pages more. It's the one like that 5-step process. Give me 1 sec here. Actually, that's a great chart. We're going to get to that one. It's 2 below. 1 more. Yeah, perfect. Beautiful. And so at first, what's all that mean, right? At first, all we try to do is understand your goals and what you're trying to achieve. And this is where I think we all can tell you that, go dream your wildest dreams, right? And then we all put a plan together. And for us, that's just, we can put together a budget, everyone's favorite thing in the world to do, savings or an investment program, you name it, right? Which is so important though, because this is the part of the plan that outlines your vision and breaks it down into, again, simple, specific steps, exactly what Giordana said. And then lastly, we try to review it, right? And modify that plan every so often to see what's working, what's not working, and what we may need to do to get you back on plan, right? And so in our case, it doesn't have to always be about retirement. Of course, that's the big one and the big topic in everybody's life, or event in everybody's life, but it's the same process, whether you're saving for your children's education, whether you're saving for the dream vacation you've always wanted to take your family on, or even the next house that you've always dreamed of, which, by the way, may just be in Jacqueline and Femi's inventory right now today. So, Femi, if you could scroll back up to that beautiful page with 2 above, there we go, perfect. And so, the financial plan here, this is a great chart. I love it. Personally, it should really be thought of this roadmap, right? Where, again, once we understand your goals, as you can see from the multiple boxes here, that plan then dictates, what portfolios should be built for you, what tax strategies should be implemented so you pay the least amount of taxes. That's always our goal. We'd love to have, friends everywhere, friends in Ottawa, but we only want to have so many friends in Ottawa. What insurance that we may need to secure to protect you, your loved ones, or even potentially your business against, the life's worst case scenarios. And then, of course, kind of our 4th pillar is what estate planning action that we may need to take, which really just means having your will, accurate and up to date according to your wishes, right? And so when you think of it that way, picking stocks and investments is such a small piece of your holistic pie, right? And it's very easy to get kind of lost in the minutia or caught up in that world, when really what matters most is knowing if you're going to be okay or not. And the one example, the one analogy that we like to use is when someone's at a dinner party, for example, and someone asks who, somebody that we work with, when do they think that they're going to retire, right? And instead of saying, oh, we kind of hope that it'll be around 58 years old, but we're not 100% certain, and we're not really sure how much we'll be able to live off either. Hopefully somewhere in that, kind of $84,000 to $95,000 range after tax on an annual basis. Well, someone with a plan in place tailored to them and their goals will be able to say, and with confidence, which is the best part, oh yeah, we have a plan. We have a plan in place to what we're trying to do. And I know that we'll be able to retire at 55 years old with, about $84,000 of after-tax income, which works out to be about $7,000, each month. So long as I save about $1,000 a month, and Eric, my advisor, generates 5% return annually. Like, could you imagine the look on that person's face if you were to say that? And the best part about it is that you can do it. And that is the power of having a proper plan in place, again, designed for you. And I can promise you that when you do, your friends and family will be shocked and secretly very jealous. And so whether you've just worked with Jacqueline and Femi to have bought this beautiful new place that you're moving into, and you're looking to rebuild your accounts and assets, your TFSAs, your RSPs, et cetera, or if you're hoping to buy something kind of in the next few years, a home is so important, both emotionally and financially, to your plan and everything else in life, right? It'll be one of the best days of your life, that's for sure, when you do sign that dotted line. But it'll also be, unfortunately, hopefully, the biggest debt you'll ever have. And so having a plan in place, that takes kind of into account everything, is super important, again, to living that life with confidence, as you spoke earlier about. And so if you don't have a financial plan because no one's ever done one for you, or you do have one, but you might need to dust it off and would like a second opinion of it, as Giordana said, I would be more than happy to help out. All of us here, are here because we love to help others. So please do not hesitate to let me know. But with that, Jacqueline, Femi, I'll kind of open it up if anybody has any questions. But if not, thank you very much for having me on board tonight.
Great speaking.
That was wonderful.
Great,
that was
great,
wonderful.
great.
And another thing too, if when we're done, let's put our contact information in the chats, so we can all
absolutely
afterwards.
Absolutely.
That was awesome.
Any questions for Eric? Any questions?
I'll say from experience, when Femi and I chatted with you, it was our first time kind of having one of these conversations, and we get a little nervous, are we too young, are we too old? And you make it very easy, and we felt very comfortable chatting with you. So I think that's really important as well, especially like for our age group, because we were never really taught this kind of stuff. So it's nice that we're all kind of like-minded and the same age group. So it was nice to chat with you.
Exactly.
Awesome. My pleasure, guys. Awesome.
Thank you. All righty. Now we have Steph.
Also just realized there's many other parts of my life I do not have organized.
Well, Steph, you're about to school me, so let it out.
You're in the right place, though.
I'm a belongings organizer, but not
belongings organizer. Love it.
Yeah, you should see my phone. That's a disaster. I mean, we can't be organized at every
No, not everywhere.
Complex lifestyle.
All right, so Steph, it's all yours now.
Okay, so I don't do a lot of this public speaking anymore, so you have to bear with me. I'm gonna read a little bit of something that I've written, and then my tips and plan for some strategy for home organization. I can explain a little more casually, but anyways, I just wanted to talk a little bit about why I've chosen to do this line of work. It's great that I'm listening to a lot of people reflect on how much they help the public. I actually sort of have done this as something that popped into my life, helping a lot of entrepreneurs over the years. I worked primarily in the floral industry and pastry world, and I just sort of was fascinated how within the realm of how people produce and become efficient. It's very like industrial kind of concept, but that's how my brain has always moved and worked through the world. And I think it comes from potentially ADD. I don't know exactly where, but it's something that I've been hyper fascinated with for most of my life. So that has been an asset anywhere I've worked, because I've just been able to help people sort of come up with solutions. I think organization is something that we kind of, I think we understand, but we don't really see as problem solving. And I think that's really, if we keep that at the forefront, I think we can like really problem solve a lot of the issues we have within our homes and businesses perhaps. But yeah, this process has been really a lifelong journey for me. Finding a system that's worked and has inherently given me structure within my home and work life, but also as a creative, given me like so much more space to be creative. And I think as the world becomes increasingly busier and more stressful, I just feel like disorganization can really impede our thoughts and our goals because we just can't get it together. And I think for a lot of people, you know, I hear a lot of people speak about simple things like making their lunches and that being such a complicated process. And so I'm always thinking about ways in which we can kind of like allow ourselves to create some kind of structure. And if it means strategizing on organizing your kitchen so you can fully function and produce lunches and buy a lunch bag and, you know, walk to work with a lunch bag, save some money, but also, you know, tapping into Jordana there, like creating a lifestyle you want to lead, you're actually actively making lunch. I feel like these are the simple steps that get us to a place where we can lead the lifestyles we want to. And I think our spaces, if they're not conducive with that vision, we're never going to get there because we just can't organize ourselves fast enough for such busy lifestyles. So, yeah, I will say I do get quickly disorganized like most people, but with a system, I feel like you can constantly just revert back to what the system offers us, which is really the key to the work that I've done for people. And I find that they struggle so much less. I never really have repeat clients because once they've organized their lives, they just have to keep that system in order. And that just produces like so much more efficiency and space and time to do the things that we love. So yeah, with that being said, I think as I've like continued to work with people over the last, I think it's been about a decade. I don't do this full time, but I love doing it nonetheless. I've noticed that our spaces have become increasingly smaller, and that has presented a lot of challenges for most people, at least living in the city. I know I've worked with Jacqueline and Femi. I've also worked with Jacqueline's parents, and downsizing can be really challenging for most people. But I think coming up with a strategy and a home for everything in your home creates the system that allows us to live, I guess, the life of our dreams. I find that most of the people I've worked for have always given me feedback and said, like, this is exactly how I envisioned it. I just didn't know how to get there. So a lot of the tips that I decided to come up with for, I mean, it's really a challenge for me to talk about it because it's just something that's always been in my brain. It hasn't been something I've been able to articulate to others. But yeah, it was a great challenge for me to come up with something. So I started with the pre-planning. I think when we kind of try to tackle something like organizing our whole home, most people just decide to like go into their bedroom and potentially pull absolutely everything out and start with the purging process. And I think if anyone here, raise of hands if anyone's read the book by Marie Kondo, The Art of Tidying Up. Great book, definitely similar patterns for sure that her and I follow. However, it really starts with her process is really to pull everything out. And I don't think that works for most people. So I think the pre-planning would be like finding the source of your contention within the home. So if we start with something like a closet, every day you walk to this closet and you've got winter jackets and spring jackets and hanging, you know, a basket full of winter scarves, let's say, and it's the middle of summer and you can't find your hat because you're going to the park and you don't have these like just the basics for the season. A lot of people don't have the time to switch over closets from spring and summer to winter and fall. So that becomes a challenge. But when we choose I like to call them points of contention. Like, what is the source of your chaos? And if it is a front hall closet or, a credenza that is just overflowing with things, we look at those spaces visually first off and just sort of try to conceive what you might want this to function as. And I start there because you really do need a pre-plan and a game plan, because you can't just go in there and pull everything out and say, okay, I'm just going to organize this and hope for the best. You're creating a structure that's going to last, and it's going to be a system that progresses into the future, keeping a little space empty for other things to bring in new belongings, perhaps. But when you start there, I think you're on the road to success at that point. So what I would suggest is decluttering and purging, deciding if there's anything that is no longer of value to you, if you can donate to friends and family. I have very little waste organizing people's homes, because most items that we purchase tend to be things that we can donate, which is a great cycle for a business like this, because it just goes into this recycling, reusing kind of especially like in a generation where we're just constantly consuming. It's great to know that we're not discarding and throwing anything into the garbage or into landfills. It's just going to someone else, which is awesome. So that's really the start: decluttering and purging and deciding what you don't need, and then finding and actively finding a place to donate those items, not finding another spot in the house for this item to be donated in the future, which is why I suggest one space at a time. And if you work with that, you will find that you can become successful in organizing your whole home. So once you've kind of done that, which can be overwhelming for most people, you come up with a bit of a plan by grouping these items. And I find that deciding, whether or not you're in the context of a closet, deciding if you're going to remove potentially all of your winter stuff and put that into bins for the winter, and then just bring in the summer if you don't have that kind of maximum space for both, and then sorting and categorizing your items, and then deciding how you'd like to contain those. So next step, taking measurements, really important. Most of the clients I work with offer me tons of bins they've picked up and said, I think these would be great, but without the context and the measurements of the space, they really might not work, and then they just become a little bit more cumbersome. So taking measurements of shelving, or deciding if you need to have some hanging shelving, that will be your first step. And then sourcing online. I'm not super big on Amazon. I choose a few other companies within the city, like IKEA, or on the lower end, Dollarama has a lot of options, as well as our only organization's store in Canada, which is Solutions. Unfortunately, we don't have Container Store yet. I don't think we have the market for it, which is very strange to me, because the States is just, if you go to a Container Store, people are there every day of the week. Whereas in Canada, Solutions has really closed down, and the only location we have, I think, is at Mavis. And it's great. There's a lot of solutions there that you can purchase to help organize your life. But I would also say you don't have to invest in a lot of things. You can repurpose bins or storage solutions that you have. But if you want to invest in the future and you want to make sure that this system stays, it is great to invest. And from there, you can decide if this is something that you can decide if you need to label them, or if you need multiples in the future. IKEA is great for that. Their systems are incredibly intuitive, and they stack, and I absolutely love them. So that's sort of the process of how one would organize a small space like that. But keeping in mind, there's like a really great concept of incorporating organization into your life and making it look desirable or aesthetically pleasing. It doesn't have to be something that looks like a storage locker. It can be, especially when you're designing something like open shelving, you can use all sorts of little bins and storage options that contain things, but also look stylized, which allows this portion of your life to feel like we have stuff, but we don't have to see everything, because I think visually it really takes away from the space in our minds that would be that could be utilized to be more creative and more productive, because that's where we're leading. I think efficiency, productivity, unfortunately the human race is, we're running real fast and it's exhausting, but organization can really provide, I think, the tools for us to lead a life that doesn't feel chaotic, even though it is, which is pretty remarkable in my opinion. I mean, it really helps me. And I hope that these tips can help others as well. And I was just going to say, lastly, yeah, like once the once the structure is in place and you move from, like, let's say a closet to a kitchen, or let's say, a credenza. I feel like a lot of people open up credenzas and it's just sort of, everything's kind of jammed in there and they can't find, a bin of electronics, or I can't think of, I'm like trying to think of my own, but let's say paperwork and stuff like that, and everything's sort of mixed up together. Once those things have a place, it's great to know that you can go back to that space and reorganize when things do become chaotic, and that you feel like you have a finish line. Because I find that when things stay chaotic, they remain that way, and we learn to adapt and we learn to live. And I love all the brain talk that Jordana was giving us, because I sadly suffered from a few brain injuries, and most of my processing is now all about the brain and how I think and function and what appeases me and what assists me in my life. So it's been a gift to learn that, but I have learned quite quickly that it doesn't matter how chaotic it is. There is a system I fall back on, and I just reassess and reevaluate, and then kind of tidy that space in a lot faster of a time than I ever would have imagined had that space have just been chaos, because there is nothing to fall back on. And frankly, we were never taught this. And if we were, it was when we were 7 years old and we were separating crayons from pencil crayons and little things like that. And then we grow into adults and we don't really have the tools to kind of envision what like that could look like in our future adult lives. I don't think anyone really anticipates that this could really assist the way in which we live. And yeah, and we can become a little more comfortable in the organization rather than the disorganization, because I think a lot of us fall into that pattern of just saying, well, it is what it is, but it doesn't have to be that way, and it can be more functional and help us live way less chaotically, because that's what it provides me. And I think that is all I want to say. And I do hear that TikTok is fantastic for people who love kind of the home edit tips and such. So if you see anything on those resources, I don't use Pinterest or the home edit, but if you see anything that you think is something that you can incorporate into your life, I feel like those are great tools to just try a small organizational solution for yourself.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's
Awesome.
everything.
Thanks, Steph.
That was great. That was
Thanks,
great.
Steph.
We worked with you, what, 3 years, 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago.
Like that, yeah.
And 2 years ago. And I remember you had suggested some bins, storage bins for my shoes. Thanks to my mom, she's given me a lot of stuff. And I was a little nervous at first because I was like, oh, this is an investment, but I now don't have to worry about it forever. And I get to go in my closet. I know where everything is. And it is very calm in there. And it's like, it's nice to get ready in my little space because it just feels nice and organized. So I think I want to have you over to help with our kitchen.
That's awesome. And has the closets remained?
Like I would say 85%, 90%. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's the goal. Really, I mean, really the goal isn't perfection. The goal is just to have a system that helps you get into a routine. So like brain wise, it's just a habit and routine.
Yep. Yeah. So that's the way, like when we go shopping, when something comes in, I know exactly where to put it instead of where am I going to put this, right? Yeah. One less thing to have to think of and organize. So that was really helpful.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, that was awesome.
great.
Okay, cool. So now us,
Oh, we get to talk
we
too?
get to talk.
Okay, we get to talk too. Last but not least.
Last
Yay,
but not
yay.
least,
We get to
so
share stuff too.
as you know, we are we're real estate agents. Well, I'm a real estate agent. Femi is
licensed.
soon to be licensed. But he helps me with everything with our business. So we're an award-winning team, multi-award-winning team. He
Mhm.
wanted me to add.
Yeah.
We're with the Appleyezzie Real Estate Group with Remax, and we have about 20 years of combined experience. Femi has a lot of knowledge in the mortgage industry, and then myself as a real estate agent. And our objective is to assist our clients, no matter what stage of real estate they're in, to give them a smooth transaction in any part of their journey. And that's something that we really excel on, whether you're renting something for the first time or the fifth time, and this is your first property, your 10th investment property. We try to give ease, we do give ease and professionalism and comfort along the way. And we have a lot of fun doing it. So that's something that we really strive in.
Absolutely. And in sticking with the, just going back to the theme of tonight's webinar with the holistic living, right? Everyone's been talking about what it is in their pillar that provides success in that area, Jordana, with the mindset speak and the things that we should be doing properly daily to have success in that area of our lives. And then Eric, in terms of finances, planning, having structure in that area, success there. And then Steph, just organization, right? Having all these areas being proper tend to be the cornerstones of being just calm and collected and just having a well-rounded existence at the end of the day. And with us in the real estate field, to be successful in the real estate field, we find that individuals should choose the right realtor, right? We do know some individuals can sell properties on their own, call those for sale by owners, but the vast majority of individuals who do have success in the real estate industry when they want to sell or buy will use a real estate agent. So we prepared some things to chat about, and you can see on our screen here, what to look for when choosing a realtor, right? Some things to really look out for. So we'll go ahead and get into it. I'll read what we've prepared. So when choosing a realtor, it's important to consider several qualifications to ensure you find a competent and reliable professional who can meet your real estate needs. Here are some key qualifications to look for in a realtor. So like Jacqueline said, she's licensed, I'm not. You wouldn't be calling me, asking me to do these things for you, you'd be calling her. So number one, licensing and credentials. So check if the realtor is licensed to practice in your province or region. Additionally, memberships in professional organizations such as TREB indicate that the realtor adheres to a code of ethics. Again, so I'm not licensed, but I do my best to adhere to the code of ethics because we are a team, we are a unit. But again, you'd be calling Jacqueline and asking her all these questions, right? Number two is experience. Consider the realtor's experience in the industry. An experienced realtor can bring valuable knowledge and expertise to help navigate complex transactions and negotiate effectively. How long have you been in the business?
12 years.
12
and
years.
I've seen and heard it all.
So that's
lots of experience.
That's a medium.
Lots of
That's a
experience.
medium to high mileage.
I'd say so.
Medium to high mileage vehicle.
I'd say so, yeah.
You know, which is, you know, broken in. We would like to say broken in, so she has a good amount of experience there. Number three, local market knowledge. So a good realtor should have in-depth knowledge of the local real estate market. They should be familiar with neighborhood trends, property values, school districts, amenities, and other factors that may affect your buying or selling process. Number four, track record.
I just want to add, a lot of times after clients work with me, not only do I give them all of the neighborhood trends and the stats, because I'm, very knowledgeable in the downtown core, now even going outside of the GTA, they'll say, thanks for helping me buy a house. What's the best restaurant to go to? And I find it's very easy to say, I'm a real estate agent. Everyone is a real estate agent. I'm sure everyone knows about 7 to 10 agents.
Yeah.
That's the norm. But what do you really know about the community, about the surrounding areas, about the schools, about everything? So, yeah, I think that's really important.
It is. Number five,
Number 4.
No, number 4, excuse me. Number 4, track record. Look for a realtor with a proven track record of success. Consider their sales history, client testimonials, and online reviews to gauge their professionalism, negotiation skills, and ability to deliver results. If you chat with the realtor, you can go to their brokerage. They can let you know how many sales that they've had. You can look at their testimonials on their website, Google reviews. All those things are very helpful. You'd want to know what other individuals' experience with that realtor is at the end of the day. 5, communication skills. Effective communication skills is crucial in any real estate transaction. A realtor should be responsive, prompt, and able to convey information clearly. They should also actively listen to your needs and preferences. It's a service business at the end of the day. So it's a lot of people, a lot of different personalities. A good realtor should be able to communicate effectively, know these other personality styles so that things can operate smoothly. Number 6, marketing strategy. If you're selling a property, inquire about the realtor's marketing strategy. They should have a solid plan to promote your property through various channels, including online listings, professional photography, virtual tours, and open houses.
And then to add to that as well, with real estate and with really all of our industries, it's a very trend-based business. So things are always going to come and go. Even just looking at Instagram, how much that has successfully been able to sell a lot of properties as well. The cool virtual tours, you have a good, song to it. So these are things that we always add within our business. We're not your mom and dad's realtor. No offense. We're young. We're energized. We have a holistic approach of selling real estate as well. I mean, even during COVID, to go into a property and say, this is where the couch is going to go, this is where the bed's going to go, where's my Peloton going to go, where's my dumbbell, my set's going to go, all that. So these are things you have to have the conversations with your clients about.
Exactly. Next, problem solving ability, a huge one. Real estate transactions can encounter obstacles or complexities. A capable realtor should be resourceful, proactive, and capable of finding solutions to potential issues that may arise. None of us want to admit it, but there tends to be a lot of bumps in a real estate transaction. So what we pride ourselves on is we tend to see ahead. We tend to look ahead and stay ahead of things. So while you may think everything was smooth, we're behind the scenes getting pricked and poked and blasted and just managing things properly. So having great problem solving ability is key. Number 9, a client-focused approach. A good realtor should prioritize your needs and interests throughout the buying or selling process. They should be attentive, patient, and willing to guide you through each step while addressing any concerns or questions you may have. Key word here, client-focused approach. At the end of the day, it's all about you and what you want, how you want it done, not how the realtor wants it done and what their opinion is on how you should design your home, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Client-focused approach is very important. Last but not least, professional network. A well-connected realtor with a network of professionals such as lenders, home inspectors, contractors, and attorneys can provide you with valuable referrals and resources to facilitate a smooth transaction. So these are the 10 points that we believe are key in finding a great realtor to help assist in your home situation, whether you want to buy or whether you want to sell. And you have a few things to add.
So after you've chosen your realtor of choice, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, and you say you're a buyer now, and you say, okay, Jacqueline, I'm ready to get things going. So first thing I always advise my clients to do is to choose, once you've chosen your location, drive to your location. Don't just say, this is the house, the photos are really pretty, the numbers work, I like the way the address sounds when it's, rolling off my tongue. That stuff doesn't matter. The amount of times that I've gone to a property with a client, we park the car and they're like, this is too far from my kid's school. This is too far from work. I didn't realize that there was, this gas station next to here, yada, yada, yada. It's so important. I mean, we have so much at our fingertips right now to do satellite, and decide, am I going to walk to school? Am I going to walk to work? What have you? Like, there's a lot of homework you can do beforehand so that when you are in the home, that's one less thing that you have to think about or be concerned about, right? So just organizing yourself beforehand. So when you're in the home, that's already done for you. knowing your negotiating power. So if you have a number in mind that you can go over or cannot go over, speak to your significant other about it, speak to me about it. I'm not going to share this information with anybody, of course, so that way when we know when we're looking at the house, you know, if you're saying, for example, you know, I can only go up to 600,000, then we, you know, if I know another offer's coming in that's going to go much higher over asking, maybe that's not worth our time to go look at a property like that, right? And even a closing date, if you know you have to be out of your current home or your current condo by September 1st, maybe we shouldn't be looking at properties that are going to close October 15th. So doing all that preliminary homework beforehand just makes things a lot easier. And then obviously having your finances in order. So, you know, sure, now that COVID's over and the weather's getting nice, there's a lot of open houses that are happening on the weekends. And I always suggest to my clients, bring a coffee, bring your friend, bring your dog and go, you know, go look. But it's not important to go look at properties that might be out of your price point or not getting your pre-approval done beforehand. I've worked with so many clients in the past where they say, you know, I looked at this house, I thought I could afford it. You know, I cried myself to sleep. Or I thought that this was my pre-approval amount. And then I realized I really need a 2-bedroom, but this pre-approval is only for a 1-bedroom. So you're kind of wasting your time and you're not looking at the best properties that actually suit you and your lifestyle and your needs. And the last thing I have to say is, you know, writing that heartfelt letter to the seller. So if you're a single person or you're a family, write the seller, show a photo of yourself, your family, your dog, what have you, and tell the seller, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, this is why I love your home. These are the features and the benefits of the home that are really, really dear to my heart. You'd be truly surprised how many sellers will, I have goosebumps. I mean, my own sister, we always talk about this, that she, oh, that's how you got your house, wrote a letter, see? And yeah. And it works. You know, my sister, what, 6-7 years ago, I think she purchased her first home and that's how she got it. And, you know, I work with clients now that the same thing. So sellers want to know you're not an investor coming in that's going to knock down all the walls, a house that they've lived in for 50+ years. They want to know who's coming into the home. And, you know, side note, I remember reading an article years ago and there was a gentleman that he didn't want to sell the home to anybody. He did not even care about the price. He wanted everyone to write a letter and he was going to choose who was going to be the lucky buyer. He was an older gentleman. I think he was like 90 years old. And it was really, really sweet. And everyone thought, oh, that's BS. That's not true. And no, it was true. He picked the best, you know, the best buyers. So, you know, these are little things that we do. I mean, you know, I don't know if we can say that it's a holistic approach to doing it, but it's not always about the numbers, you know, it's always about, you know, how you can really make a connection. And I think that in a lot of our industries, we tend to lose that, but it's really important to continue to remember that we're all people at the end of the day. And, you know, it all matters. So
it does. Yeah, no, it does. It does all matter. I have a question for you.
What?
When you said friend, you pointed at me. I'm not your friend.
I'm not your friend. You're right. And I knew you were going to say that too. Your husband, your wife, your partner.
I'm kidding.
All the above. Thanks for calling me
We
out.
keep things fun also in our practice. So we
Always,
know where we are. We very serious, but we also like to keep things fun because if it's too boring, then it would be very boring to buy a house. And it's a big thing. So you'd want to have a little bit of fun in the process.
And I think in the way that everyone approached their businesses today, it was fun. And it's, you know, you have to have the energy. You don't want to be stale. First of all, no one wants to work with someone like that. And, you know, again, we're all people and we all have a story. We all want to be heard. We all want to be spoken to, you know, to our hearts, right? That's how things go around. So that was amazing. Thank you so much, everyone. Any questions for us?
I was going to say no question, but if I can give a quick live testimonial, you know, you two are so pleasant to work with. You clearly not only wear your hearts on your sleeves, but you have your heart in the right place at all times. You know, you're both extremely knowledgeable and honest, which is something that you don't always get in your field or many fields in today's day and age. And I know that you'll go the extra mile without even asking for it, right? So thank you personally for taking care of anyone I guide your way, whether that's friends, family, and our clients. But That list, Femi, was spot on. So I'm going to send it to a few people I know who I can hit over the head with it.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
but seriously, you two are special, and I think we all appreciate having you in our circle. So thank you very
Oh,
much.
absolutely. And
Feeling
each
mutual.
and every one of you, this was
Feeling
amazing.
mutual. This was great.
Yeah,
This was
thank you,
great.
thank you.
So we're going to we're gonna provide everyone's contact information in the chat, how we can get a hold of you,
Yeah.
Eric, Jordana, Steph. And if anyone has any questions,
And there were a few people that I got some messages that, you know, Wi-Fi wasn't working, what have you. So I know there's a few people that weren't able to make it, and they're asking already for this video. So that's great. So, and Jordana, I know that you were going to send us some stuff, so I'll be able to attach that to those that weren't able to make it.
Perfect.
Oh, perfect. Okay, good. Good.
Perfect.
She put her
Okay,
contact
guys.
information.
Well, if there's no other
Awesome.
questions, everybody enjoy the rest of your evening. It's beautiful outside,
Yeah.
still bright, so still have some time to have fun.
We may get ice cream.
Okay. Just say there's no calories in it.
No calories. I won't. be
Don't look at the
suffocating.
calories in
I
the
won't be
menu. Don't look at the
stomaching.
calories in the menu. No, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding, actually. But anyway, you
Thank
guys have
you,
a great
everyone.
rest of your night. Thanks for coming.
We'll do this again.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks
Bye,
for
guys.
having me. Bye. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.